Okay, in this lecture we're going to continue with the net present value. The previous example that we did was a very simple illustration, but often there's a number of regular inflows and outflows in a business scenario. Most financial calculators can perform regular calculations, provided that the time periods between these cash flows, between the inflows and outflows, are the same. And it's also important to ensure that the compounding period of the interest rate is the same period as the time interval between the cash flows. So we are going to look at example 22, and we are going to first do it by hand, and then we will do it with a calculator. So this time diagram indicates the outflows and the inflows for a project. And we want to determine the net present value of the project, assuming an interest rate of 15% per period. So here you can see that the periods between cash flows are the same. So it's at time T1, T2, T3, T4. It can either be months or years or whatever. Let's assume for this example that the time periods are years. So the interest rate will then also be 15% per year. So what we see on the timeline is that this investor will invest 10,000 rands at time T0, then invest a further 2,000 rands at time T1. Then after 2 years, the investor will receive 5,000 rands. After 3 years, the investor will invest a further 2,000 rands. And then at the end of year 4, the investor will receive 15,000 rands. And we now want to compare this project to the situation where the investor will invest this money in a bank account at an interest rate of 15% per annum. Okay, so let's first do it by hand. Okay, so to get the net present value, we start out with an outflow of 10,000 rands, then a further outflow of 2,000 rands, and we want to move that 2,000 rands to time T0. So that will be, because we move it backwards, one time period is to the -1. Then we receive a 5,000 rands. And we move it to time T0, so we have to move it back 2 time periods, so that's to the -2. Then at time point T3, a further investment or an outflow of 2,000 rands. And we move it back 3 time periods. And then lastly, 15,000 rands. And to move it to time point T0, we have to move it back 4 time periods. And you can go and do this calculation by hand. You should get an answer for the net present value of -697.15. Okay, so that means that this is not a very good investment option. So this is if we do it by hand, but we can also do it by using our financial calculator. So you can take out your calculators. Okay, and you can follow also in your notes, you have the steps that you follow to do this type of calculations. So first of all, you will press the CFI button, second function, and CA. Okay, and then you start to enter the data. So for the first, at time T0, we had -10,000. So you will type in your 10,000. And then you press the button, the positive negative button. and you press enter. Okay, then you will type in your negative 2000, so that's 2000. Again, your positive negative button, and you enter that. And you do the same for all the rest. The 5000 is positive, so you just enter that. And then a further negative 2000. Okay, and then you again press the second function, cache. And then you have to put in the interest rate. Now the interest rate here was 15% per period. So you type in your 15 and you enter that. Then you go down with the down button. You go down with this down button and you press compute. And that will then give you your net present value. And that should give you the negative 697 and 15 cents.